I'm Ben Meyer.
And I'm Rob Wright.
And this week we wanted to do a show that we did way back a year ago. We've been doing it a while. Congratulations, Rob.
Congratulations to you. We've been doing this a while. We're on video.
Yeah, we're on video. And it was a Games of the Year so far for 2007, and now we want to do that again for 2008. Not necessarily our favorite games, but definitely the biggest titles that had the biggest impact on the industry so far in 2008. Yeah. So, Rob, why don't you kick it off?
I will kick it off. We're going to go in chronological order this year, and if we're doing it that way, then we got to start with none other than Sins of Solar Empire.
Yes.
My goodness. I mean, this title's like Rocky. Came out of nowhere, unheralded, no hype, no big magazine covers, big banners, booths, all this, advertising. Ironclad Games, Stardock, just made a really good RTS. I mean, an excellent RTS that's gotten a lot of good reviews. Sold 400,000 copies, I think, in its first 3 or 4 weeks worldwide. Done very well for a PC game, done very well. At a time when, a lot of people, including us, have been saying, what's going on with PC gaming? Sales seem to be slumping a little bit. And here comes Sins of Solar Empire, man.
Yeah, and you do it without a big marketing budget. I think one of the interesting stories about this title was also that one of its kind of marketing devices, to a certain degree, and at least it was played up in the media, was that it was DRM free, and it contrasted with some other PC titles that have come out recently that had some DRM flare-ups issues, and this title kind of avoided that and kind of benefited from that.
Yeah, it really spread word of mouth for the game. It did, yes.
So moving away from the PC to the consoles and a much more casual type title, but certainly one of the biggest ones of this year, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, a fan favorite, got very high marks and sold exceptionally well. You would expect that, but this stat really stuck out for me. It was the best-selling Nintendo of America title ever.
Yeah.
All Mario, you think about all the big titles that have come out, and this was the best-selling title ever.
Fastest to, what was it, 1.5 million units in its first week?
In its first week. So that's pretty crazy.
That's amazing.
For an exclusive, too, on one console.
Yeah. Now, the game itself, it's okay. I mean, I know I got a lot of high scores, but for me personally, I wasn't like blown away by it. I mean, I know I've already said that, but it's a fighting game.
It's definitely, it hits that nostalgia button, it's like you can play these characters that you grew up with, and I think that's such a huge part of it. Yes, gameplay it is what it is. It's not bad, but it doesn't really use the motion scheme, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, 1.5 million people, I guess, can't be wrong.
They're enjoying it. They're happy with it. So. But speaking of the motion controls...
Now, this is a Nintendo game that I like a little bit better. We're more in my wheelhouse now. Mario Kart Wii. I wasn't behind the whole wheel thing for me personally, but this game didn't score as highly. It did not get the sales that Super Smash Bros. Brawl did, but it's a legacy title. I mean, it's a hugely popular franchise, and it has done very well. It's good to see. I think a lot of people were waiting for this game. And,
but actually, it's the kind of fun, easy gameplay that the Wii is built for, and whether or not you're a fan of the wheel or not, you still have that. It's like a site.
And online multiplayer too.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. That's big. That's big plus as well. Yeah. That was a lot of fun, and it's probably around 2 million in sales now, so it's not doing shabby.
Yeah. I mean, it's still very, very respectable in terms of sales, just not what Super Smash is.
Speaking of respectable sales, probably the biggest game of the year, probably will be at the end of the year, and probably one of the greatest of all times is
biggest ever.
Grand Theft Auto 4. Obviously, Rockstar went big with this game. Hype machine was in overdrive, but it was definitely a fun, compelling game that had $310 million in sales in one day. Guinness Book of World Records.
Printing money.
Printing money, It took on the movie industry's best and
destroyed it.
Essentially.
Yeah. So, I mean, what is it? I think it's sold 11 million copies worldwide already, just through the first month, I guess, because April 29th to the end of May. We're not even counting June, and we're almost at the end of June. I mean, that's amazing. I just finished the game myself. I'm not as wild about it, again, not to be like, a downer on all these titles, but I'll get into my opinion of it later at another date when you and I can sit down and really hash it out, because I think it is worth talking about. But I mean, you can't argue with the fact that it's just selling like crazy across 2 different consoles now. And, you know, the multiplayer component, I think, is definitely bringing another dimension to the game. So.
Yeah, and when you have non-gamer friends coming up asking you about it, saying they played it and are really into it, I mean, it almost doesn't even matter whether it's like the best game ever. When it's having that kind of when it's having that kind of effect, that's just huge as well.
Yeah.
So another one with a big impact, but in a totally different realm.
A different realm, a different platform. We're going to go to Age of Conan: Hibernian Adventures, which, as an MMO, has had the biggest launch, or the most successful launch since World of Warcraft. And we're not going to get into comparing about World of Warcraft. I know that has upset some people. We're going to stay away from that. But it has had the most successful launch since WoW, and I think it's got 1 million plus sales subscribers currently. It's done very well. It hasn't been without its hiccups, though. It did have some issues at launch, some technical issues with client stability. Some people complained about that. Some people had issues with customer service responsiveness from Funcom. But early word on this game is very positive, I would say, on the whole. And 2 of our own reviewers, Travis and Ryan, are knee-deep in this game, and they're really liking what they've seen so far. And, stay tuned for the full reviews on those.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we haven't really looked at it since CES and way back when in January. But even then, it's like definitely took graphics on the MMO to another level. Definitely took combat. Definitely took combat to another level. Just a little more sophisticated, and it will be interesting to see, because it's so hard to start up a new MMO and make a successful franchise out of it if it hangs on it and has growth. And hopefully it will.
I agree.
So lastly, probably the biggest fanboy game of the group, just a lot of almost mysticism around this game.
Really?
Metal Gear Solid 4, kind of the end at least of this particular storyline, and kind of bringing together a lot of scenes. It wasn't a perfect game, even though it got a ton of perfect
scores.
It's just there was some long cutscenes, there were some loading times that people complained about.
I mean, there's been some controversy with the Konami issue that we covered in a previous episode. We talked about the press embargo with the cutscenes and load time lengths. But I mean, even with all of that, this game has sold 1.5 million copies since it's come out. And it's the holy grail for the PS3. It's that long-awaited exclusive that people really wanted, and it's got something, obviously, if it's pulling in people like that. And I think it's made for the fans. It's made for the Metal Gear Solid fans. But I mean, I don't think we've seen a game quite like this, with hour-long cutscenes and mixing cinematics and gameplay like that.
But amongst those fans, from what I've heard from Travis and from others who have played it, they don't mind that, because they really want to see the story come together, and they don't mind. And it looks amazing. It looks like a cinema.
Yeah, I think the story is the real big draw for this. I mean, I think people really want to get into the the history and the mythology of Metal Gear Solid. So it's great fan service for them. So.
It's interesting with this list. It's kind of a diverse list, and when you compare it to last year,
there's no comparison.
It's a lot of blockbusters for the first half of the year.
Yeah, I mean, last year we were talking about God of War 2 and World of Warcraft, Burning Crusade, big titles. No disrespect, Burning Crusade sold what, 2.5 million in its first month. However, you look at this list this year, and you have 2 huge Nintendo legacy titles. Huge PS3 exclusive, huge MMO, a great RTS it's really been the story for PC gaming. And you've got Grand Theft Auto 4, the biggest game ever. I mean, it's been a hugely eventful year so far.
Which is great, because this is usually a sort of a dry period.
Slow time.
And hopefully they haven't, I won't say pop something, but there's a lot of growth to happen in the second half of the year. That will keep the party train rolling.
There's big titles coming out the second half of the year, but it's going to be hard to compete with this.
It will. That's all the time we have for this week. I'm Ben Meyer.
And I'm Rob Wright.
And we'll see you next time.